Welcome everybody, this is Phil back with the Professional Painter and Decorator, back with a bit of a review. Let's call it a quick review. Kind of do a quick review, probably not. We're going to do a bit of a review on a paint that I'm going to say is, it really ought to be one of the ancient Egyptian secrets of painting. You've seen the thumbnail, it's the Bedec MSP, which is mud surface paint. And I'm going to be trying, because I've not tried this one on the channel before. I have obviously used MSP before. It's the Soft Gloss. Now you're going to say, why is this a bit of a secret? Now in the trade, if you've got, let's bring it back down to basics. If you've got a job to do where you need quick turnover, quick turnaround, let's call it a rental or something like that, where you've got woodwork. I mean, to be fair, my woodwork, Dave the Door, is pretty good because we build up with the correct paint surfaces and bits and pieces like that, and we rub it down, don't we? But if you've got woodwork on a rental or on a property that is more of a case you just need to get the paint on and go, because we do sometimes get jobs like that, if you can rub down your woodwork, get it prepared up and put 2 coats of this on, job's a good one. Now if you've watched that video there where I used, it was, I think I used the soft, it was this one, soft matte on UPVC. You saw how well that adhered to a UPVC panel, and its adhesion is second to none. So if you've got a turnaround of a property that you need something that is, let's call it priming and undercoating in one, and you're giving it 2 coats, this is the gloss, and a lot of people still like gloss on certain projects. Personally, I prefer the satin. This is the paint to go for. Let's give some properties, some qualities of this paint. Right, you can use it inside and out, which is fantastic. It's quick drying, it's microporous, it's breathable. It's also alkali resistant, or shall I say alkali resistant. So in effect, you can use it on bare plaster surfaces that are an alkali surface. Whether you want to use that or not is probably another thing altogether, but it is alkali resistant. What else can I say? I've used it on radiators. If you've seen it on that video where I used it in anthracite colour, it's a quick drying paint as well, which is great. So you probably 1 hour to 2 hours touch dry, might be a bit quicker depending on your conditions, but recoat time 4 hours. So as long as you think it's right to go, good to go, 4 hours you can get a second coat on. Now where a lot of people are probably misinformed or not really understanding about MSP paint, the curing time of this, for it to properly be hardened off, they say a month, which is probably longer than what you'd expect. You'd probably say a week to 2 weeks at the most, but this is a month, and then you've got a proper solid surface. What else can I say about it? I mean, you can spray it, you can use it with HVLP, you can use it with clearly airless. If you're looking at airless, I would say a 0.13 tip to a 0.15 is what's recommended. You can thin it if you think you just need to pour a little bit more to it to spray better. But they are saying, I mean, if you look at the technical data sheet, they are saying 2,000, 2,500 PSI, which is quite high, but that does get the paint on. Now, when I've used my HVLP, I've obviously tweaked it for the airflow to get the paint going through it. You could use a 1.5, 1.8 needle accordingly, depending on how thick or thin your paint is. But what you don't want is splatter, particularly with HVLP. But I mean, it is a water-based product. It's proper acrylic, and you thin with water. I don't think there's anything else to say about it. I mean, I'm just looking if we've got anything else down here. No, I think I'm good to go. I'm just looking. I think I'm good to go to get reviewing it. Now, I've already tipped this out. It's the gloss. I'm using a slash cut 2.5 inch Arrowworthy, which I do like these brushes. I've got paint in a proper paint kettle, which is getting ready for needing burning out now. Always work from one side of the kettle. Dave the Door's been previously painted in a satin stroke eggshell finish, water-based. I have rubbed it down, and I've used, because I needed a little bit more sanding than a fine pad, I've just got some P120 sandpaper. You can see that P120. If it's got a P at the front, it means it's the flexible stuff and it's a bit more, there's like a coating on it to stop it being powdery. So that's what the P means on a 120 sandpaper. I just ripped a piece off and sanded it down. Dusted it off with a duster brush, and of course, I mean, just trying to get everybody to work in a, well, a uniform manner is probably the word, a uniform manner. No, probably not. Trying to get everybody to work to a standard of sanding down, dusting off, and tack cloths are a godsend if you want to just get that fine little bit of dust off. I know a lot of people are going around with a vacuum cleaner, but oh, a vacuum cleaner is great, but don't forget the vacuum cleaner is also blowing air out of the machine and circulating it in the air as well, which sometimes you don't want if you're on a posh job. So yeah, I'll probably put some links in the description below to products that I've used on this if you're needing to purchase or wanted to know where you get it from. Paint wise, lots of places sell the Bedec MSP. You can get it from Toolstation, you can get it from Paintwell Brewers, all your main, hopefully all your main decorating suppliers, online and over the counter. Now, usual, I'm going around my mouldings, going to do the panel. I'll bring it all in. I'll do this top section to Dave, then we'll fade out and I'll complete the rest of it. I'll let it dry and then I'll come back, give it a second top coat and we'll review it. But I want you to be actually pleasantly surprised at the quality of the gloss of this pure acrylic as a finish. You're going to like it. I'm not doing my sides, I'm just doing the face. I'm putting enough on, but I don't want it running. That's a bit of a cop-out to saying that, so I'm just going around my mouldings. This slash cut is very nice. I know when it comes to the flat, you just hold it on a bit of an angle to make the bristles look like they're going over a surface. You know, instead of being like that, I'm like that. This is one of these paints that I do say to you, get it on. Don't play about with it. Just get it on, crow's nest it like I am doing, cover the surface, get it all the way over, quickly lay it off one way, wipe your brush down, and as I say, I'm holding the brush as if it's a flat brush. Literally the tips of the bristles now, I'm laying it off top and bring it up from the bottom. I try and rotate the pressure from it being all the way down to there and feathering it back up. I try and rotate it so I'm not doing the same brush pattern all the way across. Then you don't get a band if it starts joining. That's mainly on oils and things like that, but so far, like you can see, I don't want to see the gloss on there, that's in wet form. I'm going to drop down onto my bottom panels now. Hold on, I can just see some fatty edges. Just with your heel of your brush, just go around, just knock those off. It's like that. And as I say, I don't want to call this a cheat paint, but it is one of those paints that if you're a professional painter and decorator, if you're an amateur, if you're a semi-pro that needs a paint that's a good gloss for a quick turnaround on a property, it is ideal. Now, it's also very handy to have if you're on outsides. If you've got under eaves and areas that you don't want to be going up too many times, you can actually prepare that surface, because this does go over metal. Just got it around. It does go over metal. If you've got some metals, you might just want to check whether it needs a specialist primer, a stain blocking primer, because there might be some stains coming through. But on the whole, this goes over 99.9% of the surfaces that would be normally going over on an ordinary domestic house. But going back to using it on an outside, for those areas that you don't want to be going up too many times, under eaves, fascia boards, barge boards, whatever you want to call them, gutters, this paint is very, very handy. The black is very, very good. I thought I got a bristle on my door there. You know what you say at college? Well, my old lecturer, Mike Myatt, at Baystor College, he always used to say, hair today, gone tomorrow. And that was the hair was the bristle. Hair today, gone tomorrow. Right, I'm going to bring these tops in, and then I'll bring that middle mullion rail in as well, and the styles. So I'll just bring this across. Still getting plenty of paint on the brush and onto the surface, and laying it off quickly. I'm going to bring these sides down with it because it's all to do with wet edges. What you don't want is a wet edge drying off. So if you do it in the wrong sequence, a door, your wet edge would be drying off. So if you're mixing and matching, going here, there and everywhere, you don't want that. At the moment, the only wet edges I've got are just there on that style and just there. I've not really got a wet edge going around the moulding because the moulding's, you know, I just knocked off that. Knocked off the fatty edge. You get me, don't you? Right, I'm just going down into these mullions. And again, I'm literally just applying it and quickly laying it off. Coming to this middle rail now. Nicely cutting into the moulding with this beautiful arrow-worthy brush. You'd be hard pushed to get a nicer brush for painting a door than this, particularly when you're looking at the finish coats. Now bringing this in, feathering back up into that wet edge there. Just looking at the gloss level, I'm very, very impressed with that. Feathering off. Oh, I'm just going to drop down now, finish this bottom section. You'll still hear me. And look how quick we've painted this door. Minutes. Feathering it back up. Bottom rail, bottom of the door. Just coming across the bottom now. Quickly crow's nesting it across, laying off any paint that looks a bit fat and heavy and just feathering it back into itself. Voila, job's a good one. I'm going to see in a bit when this is dried and we'll have a quick review and then we'll get a second coat on. This is a paint that is 2 coats, job's a good one on it. If you do need a specialist primer, check what surface you're going over that might need Bedec do primers, might need a primer stroke undercoat, but this multi-surface paint, brilliant. Keep it a secret. So here we are, we're back at it. Now, this is dry now, and I hope you can see on the ring light how good a gloss that actually looks. You see it? And that's just with 1 coat. I'm just going to give it a nib down, just with a fine Merca Gold pad, mainly because a few little bits of flies came in. Typical when you're glossing. Just nib that down, I'll just give it a dust off. I'm going to give that a second coat, mainly because I know it's an MSP and it goes over any surface, and actually it's one of those ones that if you give it very little prep, probably won't matter. But we're doing it properly, we're sanding it down. I'm going to give it another coat and I'll come back when it's dried off and we'll just have a look at what the gloss level's like. But as I've said at the beginning of this video, this is one of those paints that can get you a turnaround very quickly, with it being self-priming, self-undercoating, self-priming in inverted commas. There might be the instance you need a special primer, certain metals, stain blocking reasons. But as a gloss finish, don't dismiss it. I know people go, oh, it's a Mickey Mouse, say Mickey Mouse paint. Mickey Mouse paint's one of these ones that DIYs would use to go over anything. Well, yeah, it is, but it's also, as a professional decorator, we've used this on properties that we need to turn around quite quickly, and it gives a lovely finish. With it being that proper pure acrylic, it's not going to go yellow on you, and actually the gloss levels aren't bad. If you do want to go a little bit better, I'll use the term loosely, better quality on the Bedec products, look at the advanced Aqua Advanced undercoat and then 2 top coats of gloss. You still need to be doing that 2 top coats, because Bedec Advanced, I've not got one down here on my table. is still water-based, but it's that second coat of gloss or satin that goes over itself that just gives it that bit better finish to your final coat. I hope that makes sense. Leaving it like that looks good, but the second coat over the top, I'm gonna do it. Second coat over the top makes it look a whole lot better. Right, still got my arrow worthy, bedding me brushing. Right, let's start. It's got a nice smell to it. It's got that ammonia smell that normally is the good telltale sign of a quality water-based product. A bit like in the day when Dulux used to do their acrylic primer undercoat. That had a very strong smell of ammonia, and it was a good, proper acrylic-based primer undercoat. That was back in the day when you used to get away with acrylic primer undercoat on a coat of oil gloss over the top. Right, let me crack on. You go and get a cup of tea and I'll see you in a little while, probably another few hours. There you have it, everybody. Application of that is lovely. Brushes wash out, lovely. And I think, if you can see that, I'll bring the door closer. That is a well accepted, passable. Yeah, we can see it if we rock it about. I'll tell you what, let's just get me a bit more light on it. There you go. Get me ring light on it. Right. I would say that is a very passable water-based gloss that will save decorators a lot of time and money. And you can say why? 2 coats, goes over virtually any surface, and it's an easy abrade, dust off, coat up. Recoat time, it's within hours, literally within hours. The longer you can leave it, the better. But as I've proved on here today, I've done morning and afternoon, and yeah, I'm very, very happy with that. Let's get you in a bit closer. Secret to this paint is use a decent quality synthetic brush, like an Arrowworthy, like a Monarch. Even try your Purdy's, something with a tip that is quite soft to lay off. Don't use these water-based paints with a pure bristle. That's where a lot of people are making a mistake. But on the whole, I'm impressed with that. And while I'm just talking to you, there's probably some videos coming up at the side. And I'm also going to say, there's a number of you that are giving me the super thanks again. Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Watch these videos. Happy with that paint. Bedec Soft Gloss. Ideal. Give it a go.